Hi everyone. I decided to start this video because I had an idea to make an apron. I wanted to make an apron for myself for when I cook in the kitchen and all other kind of stuff, because I always end up wiping my hands on my pants, on my shirt, or I can never find a tea towel. So I was going to take you guys through my steps on making an apron. It's going to be interesting because I have actually never made an apron. So bear with me, and hopefully we'll both end up having an apron that we both can use. First off, when making an apron, you need a pattern. Usually you can find those in the store. They're usually like some kind of a thin paper. Well, I don't have a pattern, so I'm going to have to make my own. So if you already have a pattern to make an apron, kind of skip through. But this part, I'm going to talk about making a pattern. I'm lucky enough to have my mom's apron here. Isn't it cute? It's adorable. I love it. So this is what I'm going to model my apron off of. And in order to make your own pattern, first you are going to need the measurements of the apron that you want to make. So I laid this out flat and I took measurements of it. Okay, so to take measurements, you have one of these measuring tapes. It makes it really easy. And you start at the bottom and you go across and you see what that measurement is, where your longest is, and then you write it down. Every measurement that I took, I made a little diagram here of the apron, and then I measured every section, the bottom and then the sides. And what I did was I kind of cut it in half so I could take measurements across. The little lines on the side is for the strings, all the way up to the neck, across the chest. Basically you're going to have your pattern. You want to make an apron that's going to fit you. So to double check to make sure that the measurements, it's gonna fit you. You can measure around your waist, which is why this is a good thing to have, because it, measure around your waist. You're gonna measure the chest, the bust, and also you want to measure the string that you use to tie in the back. You can also attach Velcro if you want to around the top and the bottom. If you just want to make a simple one that goes across, you can measure around your waist to see how big it needs to be, and then you won't need the rest. That's probably going to be the easiest apron that you're going to make. So you take all the measurements and you write them down from the apron that you want all the way across. And then you bring this down here, and this is for the chest here, and then how long this is going to be. Then you got the tie around the neck here across, what the length of those is going to be. I just took measurements of the ties that were already on here, so I started here where it was, stretched it out all the way, and got the measurements that way. Next, you're going to take those measurements and you want to make a pattern. Newspaper is very similar to the type of paper that they use for the patterns. So what I did is I took two sections, and I didn't have any tape. So I glued them all together, see here? So there's the two there, and then the one that's usually in the middle. And I glued it all the way around. And this is what I'm going to use to create my paper pattern. Okay, so once the newspaper is together, whether you tape it, glue it, you're going to put the measurements that you took, or I'll give you the measurements here for the size that I'm going to make. Then you're going to transfer those measurements onto your newspaper. You're going to make sure it's nice and flat, and then you're just going to start measuring. So the bottom of mine is 34 inches. So I'm going to start right about here. I'm going to go across, lay this out flat. And we got 34 here. This is my beginning. Okay, And what you can do is, you know, take a ruler and connect your 2 dots. And then let's see. We got my sides here are both 18 inches. So I'm going to need to go from that mark up 18 inches. So put that on that mark there. I got to slide my paper down a little bit here. I got little weights on it because it kept falling off. So that's my 18 right there. And then, so that's that there. So this is the top. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same exact thing. Find the 18 inches here. Measure up. And then connect the lines. And you're going to want to do that for the remainder of the pattern, double checking, making sure. And then once you have it all drawn out with pencil, just in case you mess up, then you can go over it with something dark like a permanent marker or something. So that way you're going to be able to see your lines a little bit better. Okay. I don't know if you can see it or not because of the light behind the paper. But see, I got my pattern laid out. I went over it with black marker so you can see it all. Just a very basic pattern. And then you have your pattern. So now you need to figure out what you want your apron to look like. I have fabric on hand pretty much anytime. This is the fabric that I have chosen to use. It seems fitting, planting, and that food that has been planted is going to be cooked with my apron. So the next step is getting that pattern onto whatever fabric you have decided to use. Okay, so I have cut out my pattern from the newspaper that I made from the measurements that I took. Just use, you know, regular paper scissors is fine. And then I have, and the straps. These are the straps that go up around the neck. Then I have my material ready to go. And what you want to do is you're going to want to take your material, and I mean if your material has lots of creases in it, see, this has lots of creases in it from being, you know, folded up or whatever, wadded up. You're going to want to take an iron real quick to it, and to make it nice and flat for your pattern to go on. So I'm going to go iron my thing real quick, and I will be right back. Okay, so y'all bear with me on this angle. I would prefer to be at a nice table, but anyway, so you have your fabric, and it's nice, and iron it out if you want to. And then you're going to take your pattern that you cut out, and you're going to lay it on top of your fabric. Now around the edges, you need to remember that when we do the sewing, the edges are going to be folded over, and that's what's going to give you your nice little border around. Or you can also, you know, get a little more creative and put a nicer border around if you want to. But I just plan on folding mine over. So when I did my pattern, I made sure that I cut on the outside of my lines. And then also when I transfer the pattern onto the fabric, I'm going to leave enough for it to be folded over. So before you trace around your pattern on your fabric, that would be heaven, you're going to take some pins These little pins here. Oh gosh, I don't know if y'all can see them or not. This little pin right here, and it has like a little top. They come in different colors. And you're going to attach it to the fabric, making sure that the pattern and the fabric stay tight up against each other. Take another one, put it through the fabric. That. Put one up here. Let's put one right here. Just like that. And you're going to continue to do that all the way around your pattern here. Okay, so now I have my pattern, and it is secure to my fabric that I'm going to use. Next, you're going to take a fabric pencil. They kind of look like colored pencils. And you want to get a fabric pencil color that is not going to blend in with the fabric that you are using. So you don't want to use red on red fabric, white on white fabric, green on green, and so on. I'm using a white because mine has lots of colors. So to be on the safe side, white is going to show up against all of my colors. So everything is pinned down, ready to go, and it's basically, you know, kindergarten 101. You are going to go around the pattern with your pencil. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to draw a line right here, here, staying a little bit away from my pattern here, like that. Just so I can see where I am going to make my cuts in the fabric. I would not recommend trying to just cut around your paper pattern with it pinned down, only because something could happen. It could slip, and so forth. You just kind of want to go all the way around it here. These are my two pieces over there and over there for the straps that go up around the neck. So I'm also going to, you know, draw around them. And then once I have completed drawing around my whole pattern here, I am going to go ahead and cut it out. So I'll go ahead and finish my pattern here, and we'll move on to the next. Okay, so I have completely traced around my pattern. And now I'm going to take my fabric scissors, and I am going to cut on the fabric on the lines. You want to get a good pair of fabric scissors. You don't want to use scissors that you used for paper. If you do that, it kind of dulls the scissors. So you want a good pair of fabric scissors, something that hasn't cut anything else. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start, and you're going to follow your lines, and you're going to cut. Just like that. Alrighty. Just a little bit so I can go up. Actually, I'm going to go this way. I like holding it out. You can also get this really nice plastic mat and use like this roller cutter thingy. It makes the cutting a little bit more easier, but for where I'm at right now, this works. And I have my first piece here, and this is going to be attached to the top, and this is what goes around the neck, and I'm going to put some Velcro on. Okay, let me finish cutting this out, and we'll see what we have. Okay, so I have cut out my material. Here are the two for up around the neck. And then here is my pattern completely cut out. So this is the top. I'm gonna go around there. So it's gonna eventually wrap around the back. Okay. So hey, that's actually pretty good. I'm surprised at the way this turned out, since I've never done this before. And I'm just going off of whatever I have been passed down and hopefully got stuck in there from my grandma and my mom. So yeah, so now we are ready to fold over the ends and start sewing. Exciting! Okay, so now we're ready to take our fabric and we're gonna fold over the ends so we can sew them. So it's basically, you're gonna fold it over, and then you're gonna take one of these pins like you used to hold down your pattern, and you're gonna put it through the other side. And you want to make sure that when you are pinning your fabric that you are pinning it far enough away from where you plan on sewing. So for like this one, I don't know if I can show it very good in the video or not. I'm going to go through and you're going to come up. Okay, so when I sew, this is basically what it's going to look like. I am going to sew down the end here. I'll get it right here in a minute. Hang on. This there. Come up. Right there. Okay. So, when I sew, I'm going to sew along right here. So you want to make sure your pin is going to be out of the way of the sewing machine, or if you're even going to do it by hand. And then as you go along, you can remove the pins once you're done sewing. Pin this one here. And be very careful when you're using these kinds of pins, because man, they are not very forgiving once they get you. It feels like, you know, when you go to get your finger pricked, and it's definitely not fun getting pricked by these pins. I've done it a few times, learned my lesson. So knock on wood, I haven't done it in a while. But my thumb was sore for, oh gosh, a good 3 days at least. But you just go through here and you pin them every so often. This is basically giving you like your border around the apron. If you choose to actually put a border around it, that's fine. You get your fabric for that, place it on, pin it, and sew it on around. But I find this a little bit easier to do. Just folding it over, nothing fancy. I just basically want to make an apron so I don't get my clothes so dirty when I bake. I have a habit of wiping my hands on my pants. And of course, you know, that's a hard habit to get out of. I hope y'all are being able to see this in the video. I haven't really even looked. And it's okay if your fabric is a little off on one side than the other. You know, it's not going to be, doesn't have to be perfect. You're just kind of doing this to make something for yourself. You can make one for somebody that you know as a gift. This is also probably a good activity for kids. They can do it as long as, you know, they have adult supervision and all of that. So hopefully this thing turns out alright and it's half decent enough to enter it into the fair. Pretty sure there's a section in it. If you guys decide to do that and you're in Jefferson County here in West Virginia, make your apron and enter it into the fair, and that way I can see everybody's aprons that you did. But yeah, so there's one strap. Oops, sorry. One strap, ready to go. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pin up everything else, and we'll get to sewing here in a minute. Okay guys, I'm back. I went ahead and did the sewing, and I didn't include that in this video, only because if you're watching this video, you probably kind of already have an idea of how to sew on a sewing machine or by hand. If not, I can go ahead and do a sewing machine video later on if you guys would like. And it also cuts down on the time on this video because I know it's getting kind of long. But went ahead and sewed it up. There's my straps that go around here. And then here's my apron. This is what it looks like up top here. See how I sewed it. I sewed that. I sewed all the way around it, the edges that I had folded over with my pins, and as I went, you know, I removed the pins. And so only thing I have to do is add my tie-ons. I forgot to take them over. I had to borrow Mom's sewing machine, so I'll do that later and put the Velcro up top here so I can just Velcro it behind my head. Or you can make these longer if you want and tie them as well. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so now I am ready to get to work cooking and baking, and hopefully my next video will be some kind of a baking video, and I will be wearing this. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it.